Picture this, a brash heavyweight boxer, fresh off his latest knockout victory, strutting through a quiet Texas diner like he owns the place. His entourage follows behind, cameras rolling, egos inflating. Then he spots him, a humble man in his 70s, quietly eating pancakes in the corner booth. Most people would see just another senior citizen, but this boxer, he sees an opportunity to cement his legacy by humiliating a living legend. What happens next will leave you speechless. Because when arrogance meets true strength, when ego collides with wisdom, and when someone mistakes kindness for weakness, the universe has a way of serving up poetic justice. This is how one cocky fighter learned the hardest lesson of his career, and why the quietest person in the room is often the most dangerous. Danny the Destroyer Morrison had everything a 28-year-old heavyweight could want. An undefeated record of 34-0 with 31 knockouts that earned him fame and a reputation that preceded him like thunder. His last fight lasted exactly 97 seconds, a devastating uppercut that sent his opponent to the canvas and Danny to social media stardom. But success had poisoned Danny's soul. Every victory fed his ego until humility became foreign. He surrounded himself with yes men, turning his boxing career into manufactured drama. His manager encouraged every outrageous publicity stunt, knowing controversy sold better than athleticism. "We need something bigger," Rick had said that morning. "The fans are bored. We need a moment that breaks the internet." At 6'4" and 240 pounds of muscle, Danny genuinely believed he was untouchable. He'd forgotten his grandfather's wisdom. "Son, the moment you think you're the toughest man in the room, you've already lost." The Lone Star Diner in Walker, Texas, was where time moved slower and conversations carried weight. Chuck Norris sat in his usual corner booth, newspaper folded beside blueberry pancakes. At 73, his red hair had silvered, but his eyes still held quiet intensity. He came here every Tuesday morning for peace, not recognition. The bell chimed and Danny burst through like a hurricane. His entourage disrupted the peaceful atmosphere. Conversations stopped. Coffee cups paused halfway to lips. The air thickened with tension. Danny's eyes swept the room like a predator. His gaze landed on Chuck, and a dangerous smile spread across his face. Here was his moment, the perfect viral sensation. "Well, well, well," Danny announced loudly. "Look what we have here, folks." The great Chuck Norris, hiding out in some backwoods diner. Chuck looked up calmly, expression unchanged. He'd dealt with attention seekers before, but this young man's energy felt different, more volatile, desperate. Danny approached Chuck's table with swagger, his camera crew positioned strategically as the heavyweight invaded a legend's personal space. "You know who I am, old man?" Danny asked, leaning over the table. "Danny Morrison, 34-0. I've knocked out guys half your age." Chuck set down his fork deliberately. "I know who you are, son. Congratulations on your success." The respectful response only fueled Danny's arrogance. In his twisted worldview, respect was weakness. Success? This is just the beginning. Maybe it's time to show the world what happens when a real fighter meets a has-been action star. Mabel, the elderly waitress, stepped forward. "Son, maybe you should mind your own business, Grandma," Danny snapped. Chuck's demeanor shifted subtly. His shoulders squared imperceptibly. Disrespecting innocent people crossed a line even his legendary patience couldn't ignore. "That's enough," Chuck said quietly, his voice carrying more authority than Danny's loudest boasts. "I'm officially challenging you, Chuck Norris, right here, right now, unless you're too old and scared." The silence was deafening. Chuck's mind flashed back 45 years to his younger, cockier self walking into a Los Angeles dojo, ready to prove himself against an elderly Korean master named Park Soo-jin. The old man had dismantled every assumption Chuck held about strength and power. A warrior's greatest victory is the battle he chooses not to fight, but when innocence is threatened, sometimes a lesson must be taught. Chuck saw his younger self in Danny, lost, arrogant, desperately seeking validation. But he also saw the cameras, the way this young man treated Mabel. Chuck stood slowly, movements fluid despite his years. At 5'10", he looked like David facing Goliath. "Son, I don't want to fight you, but if you insist, I'll accommodate you. Just know that some lessons are expensive. Danny's grin widened. The internet would go insane. Outside in the Texas morning sun, the parking lot became an impromptu arena. Danny stripped off his shirt, revealing intimidating muscle. He shadowboxed for the cameras. Chuck simply removed his flannel, revealing a frame that defied his 73 years. He moved to center with calm confidence, a man with nothing to prove and everything to protect. Last chance to walk away, old man, Danny taunted. Chuck assumed a casual stance, eyes focused not on Danny's muscles, but his soul. Danny launched his first attack, a haymaker backed by professional fury. The punch never landed. Chuck moved like water flowing around stone. His body shifted just enough to let Danny's fist pass, then countered with lightning speed, catching Danny square in the chest. The impact sent shockwaves through Danny's body. Not pain, but something worse. The realization he was completely outmatched. Danny stumbled backward, confidence cracking. He threw desperate punches. Chuck avoided them all with perfect economy, occasionally delivering precise counters that served as lessons, not attacks. For 5 minutes, Chuck systematically dismantled every assumption Danny held about combat. Every punch was redirected. Every charge became an elegant demonstration of leverage and timing. Finally, Chuck stepped inside Danny's guard and delivered a single palm strike. Danny flew backward 15 feet, landing hard, staring at the Texas sky in bewilderment. Chuck walked over and extended his hand. "You all right, son?" Danny stared at the offered help, his world rewritten in 5 minutes. Everything he thought he knew about strength had been illusion. He took Chuck's hand. His entourage stood stunned, cameras still rolling, but uncertain what to do with footage, showing their meal ticket humbled. "I don't understand," Danny whispered. "I'm young, strong, undefeated." Chuck placed a gentle hand on Danny's shoulder. "Son, being undefeated and being a warrior are different things. You've got talent, but talent without wisdom is potential wasted." 6 months later, Danny returned to Walker, Texas. Alone this time. No cameras, no agenda beyond understanding. He found Chuck at the same corner booth. "Mind if I sit?" Danny asked quietly. "Been wondering when you'd show up." Danny had spent months soul-searching. His boxing career had transformed. Still undefeated, but now he fought with purpose instead of ego. He donated prize money to youth programs, spoke about discipline and respect. "I wanted to apologize. Not just to you, but to Mabel, everyone here." "You were young and lost," Chuck interrupted gently. "We all were. The question is what you do with the lesson." "How did you know you could beat me that day?" Chuck's eyes twinkled. "Son, I didn't fight you to beat you. I fought you to teach you. There's a difference." Danny left carrying a truth that would guide his life. Real strength isn't about how many you can knock down. It's about how many you lift up. The quietest person in the room often carries the deepest wisdom. Some legends aren't made in the ring. They're forged when character meets choice, and wisdom defeats ego without throwing a single punch.